Welcome to That Show with Matt Giles. I'm your host, Williford B. Hayes. As always, I'm joined today by my friends Joel Wilmot and Mason Reed. Hey, this is That Show with Matt Giles, hosted by me. If you like this show, click that follow button. If you like Tim's Taverns Live, click that follow button. Yeah, we're looking for more followers. Also, if you happen to be watching live, send us a chat. If you got a good question, maybe we'll try and pick one out and throw it up. Yeah, you can find the show today, and then next week I think we're switching to 1 day a week, a little bit longer format, so we'll be back Friday. What day is that? Clearly I'm prepared. Oh, the 24th. We'll be back Friday the 24th at 1 p.m. Pacific. I think our next guest is going to be Brian Henderson. He's an educator in New Mexico. We're going to talk about what's going on with him. All right. Also, Tim's Tavern, you can catch tonight at 4 p.m. Pacific, tomorrow at 11:30, and Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific. They're going to be great shows. Cool. Let's bring on Joel and Mason, see what's up. Hello, guys. How are you?
Aloha. Good.
Ciao.
Ciao. I don't know if it was me watching... Oh, I was watching... Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which is back with no audience right now, and stars playing for charity. But apparently in Italy, when they answer the phone, they say pronto. This is what I learned.
Pronto.
Yeah.
It's like in Mexico, they say bueno.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I feel like I'm fuzzy. I don't know if it matters. I think all of you know this, but I had a terrible morning trying to figure out why my internet didn't work, but they got it fixed just in time. After.
Well, did you see that your internet service provider filed for bankruptcy yesterday?
I did. Technically, they got sold. Well, they sold 4 states worth. So Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana are all going to become a new company called Ziply. So at the end of the month, I'll be Ziply Fiber instead of Frontier. But
Sounds faster.
Right, doesn't it? Yeah. Ziply.
Ziply Fiber, but they're making no changes to your current service.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
It's not better, not worse. I'll take a little bit more reliability. That'd be good. They're a local company. I think a guy out of Bellevue is the main guy that started it up. So hopefully they'll be a little bit more rooted in the hometown. I don't know.
I find it hilarious that you have fiber and that like the reliability and speed is even a question.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like torrential flood speeds on fiber, but obviously they can throttle that back if they want to.
That's true. They do. Yeah. Mason, how are the goats?
They're great, man. We've been really busy with this. Mandy's been really busy with these corporate Zoom call things.
Oh, that's
no
no
problem.
Nice.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's great because it's taxed. It's a tax write-off for the company, and because they're a nonprofit, and it looks like the goats are going to have some hay. They're going to be able to get some hay and make it through the winter. They keep this up.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so
great.
Cool.
If you want a goat to join your Zoom call, check out wobblyranch.org. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah, cool.
Or the Wobbly Ranch on Facebook.
All right.
I think it's .org. Yeah, it's .org.
I know it's
got
.org.
confirmation.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And then there's a section on telegoating.
Telegoating.
Well, you could just contact Mandy on how to do that. Just contact her through the Wobbly Ranch form on the website, and she'll get you scheduled.
Maybe we should ask Corey if he needs a goat for any of his telecommuting. He's been doing a lot. Our guest today is Corey Gray. We'll be catching up with him in a minute, but he is an operations specialist at LIGO, where they detect... well, he'll tell us, but I think gravitational waves...
Were you about to cross into words that you didn't know? It was like, what was it? Yeah.
That's exactly what was going to happen. Yeah.
I've been reading as much as I could. I remember when this all started, and so when the announcement came out that it worked and all this stuff, and I was super excited. And then I was realized I was way out of my. Hey, what happened?
I still hear you.
I don't know, but that's a great shot to be frozen on.
It is. It's good.
Yeah. Somebody should grab that. That should be his LinkedIn profile.
Or Tinder.
Looks like he's like ready to work. Yeah, happy and.
Yeah. See what I can do. I think we did lose him. He'll come back. All right. Let's do this. We haven't lost you yet.
Either.
Nice. Who's on Tim's Tavern tonight? Do you remember?
Oh, Stolvan's gonna play. We got a bunch of people there, but Stolvan is great, man. He's really good.
Nice. Nice.
I have no idea what I'm.
I don't either.
We're doing that at 4:00 today.
Cool. That'll be good. All right. I don't have any memes today. This is my fault for not having internet. This is Frontier's fault.
It's all right.
So let's just head in and talk to Corey and see how he's doing.
Yeah.
And talk about gravitational waves and LIGO. Hey, Corey, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Hi.
Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for coming on. When we were first talking about getting you on, you said, well, I'm not quite like all the rest of your guests, which is true. You're probably smarter. And you've got some cool stuff. So you work at LIGO, which remind me what that stands for.
It's an acronym which stands for Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory.
So you're at one observatory out of two, is this right?
Yes. So the United States has two observatories in the United States. They're operated by Caltech and MIT. There's one in Louisiana, just outside of Baton Rouge. And then there's another detector, which is about 3 hours drive for you guys over the hills, over the Cascades here in Eastern Washington near the Tri-Cities on the Hanford site.
So are you actually an employee of Caltech though?
Yes, I get paid by Caltech. I was hired by them back in 1998. So I moved up here from Southern California to Washington State back in 1998.
Oh.
And so, yeah, I'm employed by Caltech. And this is a project that's been around for a while. So it's been over 25 years, and it's funded by the taxpayers, by the National Science Foundation. And what else should I say? And we're not the only game in town. There's other detectors similar to us. So there's a network of detectors. So there's the two we have, Louisiana and Washington. Italy has one called Virgo. And Japan just went online with their own detector that's inside of a mine. And that is called Kagra. And then India will have a detector which is sort of connected to LIGO as well. It's LIGO India. And that should be online in the next few years.
Wow. What's the benefit of going in a cave for Japan?
So for us, when I say noise is the big issue for us, because these are the most sensitive instruments ever built. And so one of our biggest noise sources is the earth. For example, for us here in Washington State, we have to worry about windstorms, trucks driving by. We have to worry about earthquakes nearby or we're on the planet that are big enough. For this detector that's going to be built, that's built in a mine, they don't worry about wind at all. And then seismically a lot more quieter as far as earthquakes, but I mean, they'll still be seen by them.
Wow. And so
yeah.
The laser interferometer gravitational wave observatory, you're observing gravitational waves from black holes when they collide. Is this correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, in a nutshell, we're an astronomy project, but we're different than all other astronomy that you might be familiar with. With all other types of instruments, like optical telescopes, radio dishes, or satellite lights up in the sky, gamma rays, those are looking at electromagnetic waves or light. And so those are things that are coming from effects that are at the atomic level from stars and other objects in the universe. We're looking at something completely different. So we're not looking at light or electromagnetics. We're looking at gravitational waves. And this all comes from Albert Einstein. And the type of things that we're looking for are really violent events in the universe. So you need things that are very compact and very dense in mass. And so the ideal candidates for that are black holes and neutron stars. And those are the types that we're looking for. We're looking for the things doing things like crashing into each other. And that's what we've seen a few times so far. So we've had a handful of detections so far in the last few years.
That's impressive because it went a long time that you were just sort of searching, and then your big discovery was 3-4 years ago. When was that first one?
Yeah, September 2015. And so you can't. It's almost cinematic the way it went, because this is about 100 years after general theory, when it came up with this complete way of thinking of gravity. And so from 1915, if you go 100 years from then, that's when we made that first detection. And wow. So it was just a crazy experience. I mean, I've been with the project since '98. We had a first iteration of the detector called initial LIGO, and we made no detections for 8 years. And then as soon as we turned on this new detector in 2015, which we call advanced LIGO, almost within days, after turning it on, we made this first detection, and it shocked all of us. And it took us 5 months to announce, because we wanted to make sure that the detection was real. We had to write a paper about it. We had to think about how we would announce it. And we couldn't say anything. And all of this is happening on the 100-year anniversary of general relativity. So I remember November of 2015. This is a few months after the detection we made. That was top secret at that time. Yeah. And I remember watching PBS. There was a documentary on TV about Einstein, general relativity, and they talk about us at the very end about what's the future. And so just watching that was funny, because we knew that they would have to change the story of that documentary.
Yeah, that's super fun. I actually think I remember hanging out with you about then, and all that you were saying was, we're really excited about things we're doing at work. Like, really excited.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't talk about it. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
So all I knew is that you were really digging your work.
No, yeah, totally. It's hard. I mean, we all had to keep it secret. I mean, I'm part of a collaboration. The LIGO Scientific Collaboration has 1,300 scientists, and all of us couldn't say anything. We had to keep our mouths shut for 5 months until we were able to announce in February 2016. So it was an exciting time, and yeah, I still like telling the story about it. Some other people are like, okay, we're done with that. We want to move on to the next detection and stuff. But I still love that first detection. It's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it was big news. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
So you have the two observatories, and you said you're adding a third in India. What's the benefit of networking all of them together? Are you also getting information from Italy and from Japan, or?
So it's just make the case stronger for detections when we have more detectors that aren't connected with each other seeing the same thing. But one of the more important things is they help with localization, or how to locate where an object is coming, where that signal is coming from. So it's kind of like triangulation. Our machines, when they're up and running and collecting data, are sort of like microphones. And so we're just waiting for something to make a noise, but it's not noise, it's what we're listening for. It's vibrations in the actual space-time or space, the fabric of space, that are actually the vibrations that we're looking for. And so the more detectors you have that see these signals, the better we're able to locate where in the sky the signal is coming from. And that is good because we can work with the traditional astronomers, the ones that look at light, and we could tell them, okay, we just saw 2 neutron stars crash in the sky in a location about this big. about this big. And if you point your instruments there, you might see some light from that event that we saw gravitational waves from. And so the better we're able to localize sources like in the sky, the happier traditional astronomers will be with us. Because if it's just two LIGO detectors, the location is like a big banana in the sky, and it's huge, and you're going to have tons of galaxies in there, and they're going to be like, we can't work with that. It's going to be so hard to look for something in that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like even when you're using your GPS or whatever, and it doesn't really tell you where you are very accurately with only 2 satellites, but if you get 3, it's a lot more precise. So it's that sort of thing, right? You need triangulation. Yeah.
And what's the next step? Like, what do you do with it? Like, what do you this information? Like, I know it's like that's a leap, I guess, but where does it go?
Well, there's a lot of new technology that comes with building instruments like this. So we get a lot of the smartest minds in the country to help us build this thing that we have. So there's a lot of offshoot technology that comes from that. But then, as soon as we made that first detection, that's when a new field of astronomy was completely that started. That's when gravitational wave astronomy began. And so with us, our job here is mainly just to keep collecting data and collect as many detections as we can. And with that, we'll get to learn more about parts of the universe that we didn't know much about. So this was our first time directly seeing or directly observing 2 black holes crash into each other for that first detection, and also directly seeing gravitational waves from that first detection. So a lot of physics comes from that. And let's see, I think there's about 12 detections so far that we have, and 11 of them have all been black hole collisions, and then one of them is one that was 2 neutron stars that collided into each other. And with that one, a lot of physics and science came from that, because we detected gravitational waves, and then a lot of astronomers around the world also saw light from that. And from this collision of 2 neutron stars, you get a lot of physics from that just by itself. A lot of heavy elements are generated when you have neutron stars crash into each other. That's where you're going to get gold and platinum and silver. All those heavy elements come from events like this. It always been theorized that's where they come from, but astronomers were actually able to see that generated from the light that came from it. So there's that, and then just that gravitational waves move the speed of light. That was confirmed with this as well. And so just more science come with each detection that we make.
Right.
So you can tell if something's gold or platinum based on the light that's bouncing back. Is that how could you tell?
Yeah, I think it's like spectral analysis, which is basically looking at the lights that's coming from that event in space. So ideally, these neutron stars are crashing into each other all the time, and astronomers just never had a way to know where to look when they happen, because when they happen, it's just a big burst that lasts. For light, it probably lasts, I think, a few minutes or hours, and then light's gone, and then you see it in other wavelengths, so radio waves and X-rays and stuff. But that information from the light that you get at the very beginning tells you how much, what elements are formed, how much of an element is formed. Here, I think they said for that neutron star collision, 3 Earths worth of gold were generated from that. And so that's just a lot of gold that happened from that, dispersed in the universe, and that's itself and on other planets like our planet as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
What's one thing with, I don't have a pic. Usually I give talks, and I usually have the benefit of showing pictures of what we do. It's hard to explain it with my words. One thing, just to give you an idea of the sensitivity of our instrument, or I should talk about our instrument first. Basically, in the most simplest terms, it's a ruler. It's like we're just measuring a length. That's all we're doing. So if you were flying over the Tri-Cities in an airplane and looked down on the desert, you would see this thing that looks like an L. It looks like an L shape, like an L. And the arms of each L are 4 kilometers. So 4 kilometers in each direction. And at the end of those arms are these mirrors. And these mirrors, we can measure the distance between them down to a 1,000 times smaller than the diameter of a proton. So really, really, really tiny distance. We can length changes down to that resolution. And what does that mean? That's always hard to fathom or get in your head. Another analogy is to think the distance between the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, the distance change we can resolve would be the thickness of hair. And so that kind of resolution at those two mirrors at the end of two arms of that L, that's the kind of resolution that we need. That's the sensitivity we need to look for these signals that we are being showered with first. And without all that said, I mean, Einstein did the work for this probably on an envelope a day a century ago. And he took stars and he used the technology they had back then. And the work, he said, there's no way we would ever detect them. But yeah, 100 years later, things changed, luckily.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit, but during the closest star to us, those mirrors can determine the thickness of a hair. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so if we had one mirror here, one on the star called Proxima Centauri, and we can resolve a length change between here and there, the thickness of a human hair. That's the length resolution we can see with our instrument.
So no wonder trucks passing by are maybe a nuisance.
Yeah. Trucks passing by are a nuisance. Earthquakes, anything magnitude 6.5 anywhere on would be something that shakes our mirrors, and all considered noise, seismic noise.
So
big.
I heard recently that because of all the stay-at-home orders, that the Earth is like shaking less because fewer people are walking around. Did that make you have to readjust or recalibrate anything?
Yeah, so we were supposed to run and continue collecting data. So we call these things, we have times when we collect data observing runs. And so that first detection was in observing run 1 or O1. We were just at the end of O3, which started last April, and we were going to run until the end of April, a couple, a week or two from now. But we suspended operations or observing on the 27th of March because of the pandemic. But yeah, anything quieter would definitely make things better for us, and probably even better for data analysis who are looking at our data as well.
And is that what you're doing now, is looking at data that you had collected? Or like, what do you do when you're not observing, I guess?
When we're not observing, so if we weren't in a pandemic, what we were planning to do is do an upgrade. So what we were going to do is for the next year and a half, go work out in the lab and wear clean room suits and go inside of this big vacuum system that houses our instrument and do a lot of upgrades to the machine. So do a lot of hardware work. And so that's what we would have been doing for the next few months or close to a year, and then getting us ready to start our fourth observing run in a year and a half or two.
So do you think that just gets all pushed back a little bit?
Yeah. So that's it's all kind of in limbo. There's I guess that's all I can say.
Fair enough. You do look good in a Oompa Loompa suit, though. I've seen the pictures online.
Yeah. That's what I was hired for. I mean, I went to Humboldt State, as you know, Wiley.
Yeah.
I received the Bachelor of Science degree. Go Lumberjacks. Yeah, that's right. I received a physics degree, a Bachelor's of Science physics degree and math degree. And then this was my first job after college. And I mainly have started out as a wrench turner. I got to help build this machine with a team of other scientists and engineers here. I got to learn how to run a forklift, run an overhead crane, and move tons of equipment around and do all that stuff to build this thing. So that's why it's not a boring job. There's always different things we get to do. So as an operator or operations specialist, we get to run this machine. So that's what we do when we're collecting data. And then I do a lot of outreach or science communication work as well.
Yeah. And this is one thing I wanted to bring up was sometimes you give tours and you do a lot of talks. I've seen you go all over talking about this. But I was super stoked that you were in a comic book, which I have a little copy of here. It's a little hard to read,
no way.
but let me see if I can make it a little bigger.
Yeah, this was like a year or two ago. I gave the talk at this tour, and then the artist who was there listened to my talk, and then she got a tour. Some of my coworkers. I didn't know that I was a comic like that, so that was kind of fun to see a cartoon version of me.
I thought it was super fun. I don't know why I got so much of a kick out of it, but
yeah.
What is the comic?
It's free. It's online. It's from the American Physical Society, the APS, and it's called Spectra. It's a comic about the main hero. She does work with lasers, and that's what I've learned about her. Her name's
Nice.
Spectra.
Yeah, and there you are at the top, and there's LIGO. What's the coolest part about it for you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's nice to say that my hands have been on the glass and the metal for this detector that is being shaken by black holes a billion light years away. And that's always a cool thing to say, that my hands have been on this machine. But one of the things that I've gotten a little bit of press for was that when this detection, the first detection came out, and we wanted to announce, one of the things that I came up with on my own was the idea of the press release was talked about a week or two beforehand in February of 2016. And they talked about translating it. And so I'm half Scottish and I'm half Blackfoot. And one of the things that I thought of was, wouldn't it be cool to translate the press release into an indigenous language? And so I asked if I could get permission to have my mom know about this big story that we had, if it would be possible if she could translate it for us. And there was there was excitement by it, so that's what my mom got to do. So a week or two before we announced, she translated the press release into Blackfoot. And that's been and I've actually gotten to do several talks with my mom around the country because of it.
Yeah, that is super awesome. Just
That's a great connection.
Get it out to so many people, and of course, people that you're close with, right?
Yeah.
Did she have to make up new words? Like, I had heard about sign language trying to talk about more science, and that they were coming together to try and make a whole bunch of new words. But when your mom was translating this paper, did she end up making her own, or how did that work?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of words that can be translated directly into Blackfoot, but there's other words that couldn't be. I mean, so gravitational waves, there's not a Blackfoot word for that. General relativity, there's not a Blackfoot word for that. And so my mom had to take creative license and use other Blackfoot words together to make her own translation of those words. And so when I to learn that about how she did this, I kind of thought of her as a poet for Einstein, or a poet for Albert, or for astrophysics. And so it's kind of cool, just the things that she did for that. And it's on, I posted my mom saying the translation on YouTube, and so you can also check that out too. It's about 15 minutes, and you could see the control room to see my mom and hear her say our language in Blackfoot.
Nice. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just search YouTube and gravitational waves and Blackfoot, and we'll find it.
Yeah, and then you should be able to bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, the other cool thing, I mean, I have some props here. So that first detection was a huge thing for us in science. They say it's the scoop of, one of the biggest breakthroughs of the century. And so because of that, the three founders of LIGO received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2017. And so that is a cool thing.
Yeah.
And I when they announced that no matter how much it would cost or how much vacation days I'd need to take, I was going to go to Stockholm and tailgate outside of the Opera House when
I remember this.
They got the medals. So yeah, I did that. And so I have this here.
Oh, nice.
This is not a Nobel medal.
Perfect.
This is actually a chocolate Nobel. The actual
awesome.
medals are twice as big and heavier. And we have a copy of one of them, each of the observatories. So Ray Weiss, who is the person who came up with the idea for LIGO, asked for 2 more medals so that he could give them to both detectors. So if you want to take a trip over the mountains, come over here and you could take a selfie with a Nobel.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
And so, like, proud for everybody, right? Like, everybody involved. I know it just goes to the few individuals, but the whole team was involved.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't know much about the Nobel, like the rules for it. I didn't know that we had to be living, and you also they could only assign it to 3 people max. So it could be 1 person could do it, or it could be up to 3. And the 3 gentlemen who received it, so it's Ray Weiss, Barry Barish, and Kip Thorne. They all sort of pleaded their case because of this is how science is done nowadays. That it takes big community or family of people to do projects like this.
Right.
So they pleaded their case, but yeah, still it's a hard thing to change that rule. We received other awards for this over the years. There's something called the Breakthrough Prize, and so that organization did award the whole collaboration. And I have the plaque for it, or it's kind of back here.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, it's the thing that's framed. I'm kind of delayed here. It's right back there somewhere. I have that. That was on TV, so we got to hear Morgan Freeman talk about my work, the place I work. So that was a cool thing.
That's always a win.
Yeah, totally. And I didn't tell you kind of what the signal looks like. So the signal, as soon as we saw the signal, like what it looked like. So most of the time when our machine is running, it sounds like just white noise. It sounds it just sounds like static. So if you were on a radio, if you're on your radio and looking in between channels, white noise is what our machine sounds like most of the time. And those areas 4 kilometers away are just floating in space and not minding their own business. And then all at once they move in a certain way, and then you hear a chirp that sounds like, and then it goes. And that's the mirrors being shaken by the 2 black holes right before they collide each other. And so here, I don't know if you could, I was going to iron a shirt today, but I didn't have time. But here is what the signal looks like.
I see that.
Yeah,
that's right.
Actually, I actually have a tattoo of it too.
That's what I was waiting to see. Yeah,
there you go.
I had the tattoo.
So
awesome.
Yeah. Most of the signal looks like this. So there's no real structure there. Yeah, that would be the white noise. And then all of a sudden, we had this signal that we saw on both of our detectors. So the blue squiggly line is Louisiana's data. The red squiggly line is the data from here. And so what you're seeing is just about a quarter of a second of the data from that. And that's right when the 2 black holes are moving at close to the speed of light. Really big, these big massive objects are getting ready to getting closer and closer, and then they crash into each other, and that's what you see on that signal.
Huh. I'd never heard the noise before. I was super excited to hear that. So are there technicians that are literally just sitting there listening to static over and over again? Or are you looking at the data in lines?
Data is actually sent out to supercomputers pretty much real time. So so we don't have somebody just sit and look at it. I wish we could listen to it on the speech. Should do that. We did that back in the day ago. But yeah, we have computers that do all that hard work. So if something looks like a candidate, computers will see it, both machines, and then they'll send an automated alert to all of the people in our collaboration, and then they'll start using the data to confirm whether it's a real signal or not a real signal.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We do have a comment. I'm not sure if it's spam or not, but a viewer just wanted to let us know they found out the love of their life. So, way to go, Nabs. Nabs,
Oh, okay.
more power to you.
Yeah. So I think I told you we made 11 detections from the first 2 observing runs. First 2 observing runs, every time we have a candidate, we had to be quiet about it until we confirmed that it was a real signal. This current run that the run that just ended, what's different about that is that with every candidate we get, we make it public almost in real time. We make sure we look at the signal, make sure if it's real or do we need to retract it. If a good candidate, we make it public, and so that's for other astronomers so that they could look out in the sky to see if they see anything. And so with each observing run, our sensitivity has gotten better, which means we could see further out. And that means that the sphere that we can see inside of has more possible, galaxies inside there that have possible events, violent events that are occurring. And so that increased number of candidates that we could see. So in roughly 10 months, we had 56 candidates. And so that's the work a lot of our data analysis in the collaborative looking at, to make sure they're real signals. And then once we're happy with them, then we'll move from candidates to actions.
Right.
56 of them to look through.
Wow. And going public more quickly, is that just because you've got proof of concept down, it's working, and the quicker you can spread it, the more findings everybody can confirm? Is that sort of the idea behind it?
Definitely. Yeah. That the detection is my favorite one, and then the second one with the 2 neutron stars, and that's just because it was it's just kind of a dramatic or cynic thing again. I was on shift actually for that one, for the we call it a BNS, so binary neutron star detection. That was at about 5 a.m, and I was in the control room. I remember getting a call from the operator, and this operator said, "You better get on the computer because something just happened." An alert that morning, and I logged in on an internet like this, and I just heard a lot of people talking fast, screaming. Some were cussing, and it was just because they had fast because I heard the word neutron star. That's when I knew, okay, that's why everybody's excited.
Yeah,
they had to make an alert to send out to all these astronomers around the planet to move their dishes and look in this certain area in the sky. So that was 5 a.m. All these astronomers looked in the sky or on maps or on places where they can analyze the sky and see what would be the place or what galaxy should we look at there. And so it was the first telescope that saw it was in Chile, and they're the ones who saw it first, and then all these telescopes in laboratory saw it after that. So that was an exciting time too.
Yeah, that's always fun when you prove both, right? The black star and the neutron stars or black hole. Yeah.
If you on another subject, I used to write a lot of Yelp reviews.
I remember.
Yelp that I Yelp of our detection. So you do those detections. They have stars.
That's awesome. Everybody go check out the Yelp review of detection. You don't do that anymore? No more Yelp?
I don't really have time. I mean, maybe I should return to that.
That's fair. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Did Mason or Joel, did you have any other questions?
Yeah, there's lots, but no, but I actually did think of when you were just describing the excitement around the neutron star. It was like, it's part of that because information gathering from other aspects of the astronomers, the traditional astronomers, is that because they can actually see it, or is black holes are famous for not being able to be seen. So the collision of 2 of them seems like, in my brain, double that. It makes it that much harder. You're looking for the absence of light, but in the neutron, is it like the explosion of stars?
I mean, you're going to get different information than what we. So that's what The other interesting thing about that one is that that detection was made. We had secretive about it, but we also had to worry about all these astronauts wanted to not get. They made this discovery, and they're finding out completely different things from us with the light that they observed from that detection. So that one was an accelerated one. So instead of 5 months that we used for the first detection, this one we saw it in August and we announced in October. So it was really accelerated. And so all of these had their owners that they wrote, all this other science they wanted to share with the world. And it was just a big event in multi-messenger astronomy because it's light and gravitational waves. Those were both two different types of signal that were seen from this one event. And so, it was just a big, so much science came from.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fascinating. I love this. We could talk for hours.
It's true.
I could listen. I could just listen to this forever. It's so amazing.
I also, every time I talk to you, Corey, I enjoy your infectious enthusiasm for it. Right? Like, you make it fun.
Yeah.
So
I try to use language that people can understand. I try to use, when I give talk, to have visuals that are funny. I like movies, so I try to put a lot of meme and pop culture stuff into the thing. So mainly it's to inspire young ones. I mean, and then in particular for me, since I'm native, I didn't know many native physicists. So right. I just like to get out there and do a lot of this stuff, inspire that next generation.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I really thank you for coming on, Corey. I appreciate your time, and thanks for educating us a little bit and spreading the gospel of science.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for the invite, Wiley.
Yeah. Sure.
Nice meeting you, Mason.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Corey. Bye.
Bye.
That's a smart dude. Sorry, it was a little choppy. I'm not sure if that was me or that was him, but
that's all right. It was worth it. I was like,
yeah.
I was engrossed.
I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mason, did you get everything?
Yeah, I'm still processing. I'm trying to.
I think
translation app in my brain is still spinning.
If you upload your thoughts to a supercomputer, it might help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to check out that geometric unity. That's what it's like there's like a 3-hour thing, but I've been learning about it. It's pretty incredible. I don't know enough to talk about it yet, but
that's fair. Yeah. All right.
But it's basically the next the evolution of the theory of relativity.
This is one thing I should have asked him, but how it all comes together. I don't know. Because they keep proving parts of it. Yeah, math. That's true.
Math. We have him back.
Duh, Wiley. It comes together with math.
So, over the course of doing this show, we've come up with we got to go to Kingston and eat at Mossback. Mason, we got to get a goat outfit to wear, and I think we should do a remote from outside Hanford, and then like whatever they'll let us actually film or look at or
totally
take that tour. Yeah. I think that'd be kind of fun to do.
We could go to the Base Camp Books and Bites and have snacks. Yeah. It's the shirt he was pimping. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Like I said, we'll be back next Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific with Brian Henderson. Yeah, that's his last name. I only know him by one name.
One name only.
Yeah, so tune in then. And in the meantime, enjoy the Tim's Tavern Live today, 4 p.m. Pacific, tomorrow, 11:30, and Sunday, 11:30 a.m. And then Wednesday would be the next one after that. So, cool. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.